And this one is titled U.S. Nuclear Sub Collides with Mystery Object. Oh, yes. A U.S. nuclear attack submarine has suffered damage after striking an unknown object in the South China Sea. This has been going around. This has been making the rounds. And I will play this news story right now. Here we go.
We're learning that one of the Navy's nuclear-powered submarines hit an underwater object in the South China Sea last Saturday. 11 sailors on board were injured, and the Navy says the sub is fully operational. Ramy Inocencio is with us in Hong Kong. Ramy, good morning.
Nate, good morning. That's right. U.S. military officials are saying that they waited 5 days before going public with this news in order to maintain operational security. Now, the sub in question is the USS Connecticut. It's classified as a Seawolf class fast attack submarine. And in a statement, the U.S. Pacific Fleet says it's in safe and stable condition, that its nuclear propulsion plant was not impacted, and no one sustained life-threatening injuries. Now, this incident, though, of course, is happening at a time of high tensions between Beijing and Washington, just weeks after the U.S. and the U.K. signed a deal to supply nuclear-powered subs to Australia, and really just days after China sent a record number of military aircraft near Taiwan. China today expressed grave concerns, urging the U.S. to give details about the sub's mission and questioning whether it may have caused a nuclear leak under the sea. As for the USS Connecticut, it was last reported to be making its way to the U.S. territory of Guam. U.S. military officials say that it did not hit another submarine, but it might have hit some kind of container or some kind of submerged vessel. The U.S., of course, says it will continue to investigate.
Ramy Inocencio for us in Hong Kong. Ramy, thank you very much.
That guy needs a windscreen on his microphone.
It was very windy. It sounded like he was out in the middle of a windstorm or under the sea. Very concerning. Very concerning. But this has been going around, and people have been saying, "Oh, this is an underwater object, like a UFO underwater." An unknown submerged object. But, I would like to believe that because that's much more sensational that a U.S. military submarine accidentally ran into an underwater UFO, an underwater alien vehicle. But, we just don't know at this point.
To be fair, there was one, I'm looking for it right now. About 15 years ago. Same sort of thing, but they just plowed into an undersea mount. They're just like, oh, look, a mountain. Kablamo. Yeah. It was like, good job, guys.
Well, if we all remember from the James Cameron movie, The Abyss, there was a submarine accident at the beginning of the movie where an underwater UFO and an underwater submersible object came too close to the submarine. It caused like a wake effect and dragged, I believe it dragged like the submarine like into the side of like an underwater mountain and caused massive damage.
It was a canyon. It was turbulence in the canyon caused it down. Yeah.
Yeah. And that caused the United States submarine to be stranded. I think it's decompressed or compressed.
It compressed and decompressed.
It does both those things. And then those missiles were at the bottom of a trench, and the whole movie progressed from there. I think you can look this up, Gretchen. Was it maybe about 10 years ago that the Russians had a submarine?
Was it the Kursk?
The Russians had a submarine, and all hands were lost.
Yeah. Well, and part of that was due to pride because it was like only in like 300 feet of water, but they didn't want other maritime agencies, even like I believe it was the Danish, even offered, and they're like, "We're right here. We have subs that can go over and get your guys off that." And they're like, "No, we got it." And then everyone died. So,
well, according to this,
it was 21 years ago.
According to this headline here, Russian submarine battles alien deep under the oceans.
Ooh, I like that.
And in a book, Russians USO Secrets co-author, British UFO investigator Philip Mantle has collected stories about Russian-Soviet Navy encounters with UFOs and USOs dating back to World War II, based on unclassified Russian documents and accounts from military veterans. Former nuclear submarine commander, I'm not going to pronounce this Russian name, related an incident that occurred in 2009 within the Bermuda Triangle, the submarine's instruments repeatedly detected movement of material objects at unimaginable speeds around 230 knots under the sea. The beings that created those material objects significantly exceeded us in development, remarked the captain of that vessel. Which is kind of interesting. Bermuda Triangle, you have a reference there by the Russian Navy. There have long been rumors of an alien base in the Bermuda Triangle area that they use it as a portal or as an underground alien base because there's a lot of electromagnetic energy that goes around, that happens in that area. And correct me if I'm wrong. I want to know if I remember this correctly, that maybe in WikiLeaks that came out, that during WikiLeaks, you can search through those WikiLeaks of Hillary Clinton's emails, the DNC email hack. If you search for UFO, I believe there's a reference to UFOs and the Bermuda Triangle within those WikiLeaks. But I'm just pulling that out of my head. I don't know if that's correct.
I don't remember that. I do want to point out, though, that the Bermuda Triangle does encompass the very deep trench where the abyss was set. So there you go.
So in another encounter, a Russian submarine crew watched a cigar-shaped UFO shot 3 beams of light down into the Atlantic Ocean. The UFO was about 250 meters long and slowly descended into the ocean, making a strange hissing sound about half a mile from the submarine. The object could not be tracked on radar, however. So these are just different little accounts from Russian encounters. Now, it's not to say that has anything to do with this most recent one. I just wanted to throw that out there. I mean, with all the things happening in the South China Sea concerning Taiwan, the U.S., and China, it could be any number of vehicles that collided with our submarine down there, and not necessarily UFOs.
Well, and it could also be something which is strange that they haven't come out and said it yet, but something as benign as a cargo container, which gets pitched off the side of a ship, which happens all the freaking time. And those things are big. And when they start to sink, because of neutral buoyancy, they'll go down, 50, 100 feet, whatever. And they'll kind of sit at that level in the ocean, and you can just plow right into it, though you would think sonar would pick that up. But again, with especially with ballistic missile submarines, their job is to identify things passively and be holes in the ocean, not drive around blasting their sonar like attack subs. So.
One of the things I could not find on this most recent collision is at what depth did this occur?
Don't worry about it. That's what depth.
I would like to know. At what depth did this occur? Yep. Was it in shallow waters? Was it towards the surface? Is this some sort of, they ran into maybe some sort of scientific buoy and they just didn't know it? So I think we should know the depth at this point.
Well, it could be classified though, because they don't openly disclose actual operating depths of submarines. I'm sure more will come out in the coming weeks. It's odd that they will identify it only as an unknown object at this point, which means they're probably still in their investigations. They don't want to come out and say. But I don't know. Of course, we did have those stories several years ago of the Navy plowing into a bunch of cargo ships. So maybe the cargo ships are now using cargo containers as depth charges for submarines.
Yeah, that is true. The Pacific Fleet for the past, I would say, 10 years has been in a bit of a bind when it comes to leadership and the ability to navigate the seas without crashing into things. We had the USS Fitzgerald that had some issues, and then before that there was another crash. Just a lot of strange collisions in the Pacific. I don't know how rare it is, but when they do happen, people do notice.
So I'm reading through the official report here on what's been released anyway, on the incident most recently, and they're being coy about a couple things. First of all, the actual location, like you said, the depth, and of course they delayed it several days. My guess is that's operational security that allows them to get the submarine back to a safe port for repairs, whatever, but also allows them to not, by saying it was 5 or 6 days ago, that could be anywhere in a massive radius. So that doesn't identify then directly where they were operating. So,
yeah.
I think everyone's kind of curious. Is like, well, was this a a collision with like a Chinese submarine or something, which I believe are all diesel electrics. But it's possible. So it's hard to say. Now, if the Chinese come out and say they're missing a sub too, then I don't know. Then we got Hunt for Red October on our hands.
That was my thought, because back in 2001, when the United States was doing some reconnaissance flights near China, there was that hot dogging incident where a hot dog Chinese fighter pilot came up right in front of our reconnaissance plane, the U.S. reconnaissance plane, and there was a collision, forcing the U.S. reconnaissance plane down. So could this be another hot dogging incident? We had a showboating Chinese sub captain trying to get too close to the American sub, and they collided. I mean, there is precedent for this kind of showmanship.
I think it's showboating as much as just general bravado, but yeah.
It is showman. They wanted to, like that, the one that happened in 2001, that Chinese pilot was trying to show.
No. I'm talking about for submarines.
Submarines? Okay. Well, maybe.
Those submarines have a better opportunity to be true showboating, because submarines are boats, not ships. So it could be showboating.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
I did put up an image here. This was the one that smacked into a mountain because the mountain came out of nowhere. They didn't expect it. That mountain wasn't there a minute ago.
That looks like it's catastrophic damage to that submarine.
Oh yeah, there'll all be billions of dollars to fix all that. But there's another one I'm trying to find from 99 or 2000 that had another collision. I'm trying to find a photo of that, because there was a similar one out of the dry dock like this where it had an interesting photo and you could see the damage.
Yeah.
I haven't found it.
Well, we're on the subject of China and Taiwan and the U.S. I'll just bring this up right here. I'll bring this on the screen. I'm not going to dwell on this too long, but the headline here from Al Jazeera: do the U.S. and China have a Taiwan agreement? U.S. President Joe Biden claim of Taiwan agreement sparks confusion as Beijing ramps up military pressure on Taiwan. And so from Taipei, Taiwan, the question was raised on Tuesday when U.S. President Joe Biden told reporters that he and his Chinese counterpart, Xi Jinping, had agreed to abide by the Taiwan agreement, leaving many around the world scratching their heads. Biden made the remark at the White House in response to a reporter's question about the rising tensions between China and Taiwan in the Taiwan Strait, with Beijing sending more than 149 military planes towards Taiwan over 4 consecutive days amid celebrations of the founding of the People's Republic of China. On Monday alone, it sent a record 56 fighter jets into Taiwan's air defense identification zone, forcing the Taiwanese Air Force to scramble its jets in response. So it goes on to say that, quote, I've spoken with Xi about Taiwan, Biden told reporters when asked about China's provocation, and quote, we agree. We will abide by the Taiwan agreement. That's where we are. We made it clear that I don't think he should be doing anything other than abiding by the agreement. What is that? What does that mean?
Well, the skeptical, the conspiratorial, the cynical part of us would say that, well, he's just doing what he's been told to do by Beijing because they're pushing him around. So I'm not aware that they have any sort of new diplomatic policy. Is he just doing what they want to avoid some sort of confrontation? Because I mean, guaranteed Biden would roll over immediately in that sort of scenario. So.
So I'll read the last 2 paragraphs right here. Quote, I think that's Biden's Taiwan agreement is another evidence that Taiwan is just a chess piece on the chessboard, indicating that Taiwan has no say in its own future since the agreement is merely made between Xi Jinping and Joe Biden. Moreover, Biden mentioned that his talk with Xi happened last month, but Taiwanese people all witnessed the sharp increase of incursions this week. So it seems that the talk has no, if not negative, impact on the stability of the Taiwan Strait. So I think, aren't people speculating that if China decides to just roll into Taiwan, that the United States at this point is just going to step back and not get involved?
I would say, based on what we've seen in the last few months, yes, we would roll over and let that happen. However, Taiwan is one of those countries. The other one is Israel, who are not official nuclear powers, but are kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge, known to have nuclear weapons. Yeah. So if China rolls in there and the way they would do it, they would use commercial airliners and commercial ferries coming across the Strait of Formosa, and they would come across and they would just start deploying and rolling out light utility vehicles and troops. And if they started doing that, that goes nuclear really quick, I think, which is not good for anybody.
No. It's very interesting, very concerning, especially with all those UFOs in the waters over there. You got to watch out. You jump in the water over there, you're going to find an alien, apparently.
The goblin.
Yeah. Water goblins.
Water goblins.
Yeah. Very concerning stuff, but we are going to move on because that's what we do.
Give us an email at ourbigdumbmouth@gmail.com. Check out obdmpod.com for all the social media and donation links. Be a part of the magic.